Because that's how my Sunday morning started. A shriek slicing through the air high enough to scare the birds off the power line coming from a woman in a leopard print swimsuit clutching my garden hose like it just bit her. There I am, standing on my porch with a cup of coffee that's suddenly not nearly strong enough, watching a hazmat crew in yellow suits stomp across my neighbor's yard like they're storming Chernobyl. And that's when it hit me. Suburban war doesn't begin with a gunshot. It begins with a water bill. Let me back up a second. I used to think Willow Lane was the kind of place where the worst drama was whose golden retriever barked at the mailman. I mean, I'm a simple guy, live alone, mow my lawn when I have to wave at the neighbors. But all that changed when Karen Mitchell moved in next door, the undisputed empress of the HOA 5 years running. The woman treated our neighborhood bylaws like they were the 10 Commandments and herself like Moses if Moses wore too much perfume and drove a Lexus. The trouble started with an envelope. You know, the kind, thick official stuffed with something that smells like trouble. I peeled it open over breakfast expecting the usual $45 for water and maybe a little change. But the number on that bill, $312. For water. I live alone. No hot tub, no secret tomato farm. Closest I get to landscaping is occasionally hosing down the driveway when the squirrels get too bold. Now I'm apparently running a water park for invisible guests. So I do what any rational person does. I check for leaks, for running toilets, for signs. I'm losing my mind. Next month, $340. Month after that, $368. Like some invisible parasite just nibbling away at my paycheck. By then I start watching nothing creepy, just the usual linger by the window with coffee kind of thing. And that's when I see her. Karen leaning over my side fence, our yard separated by a skinny little alleyway, just enough space for secrets. She's got my garden hose in her hand, tugging it through a gap in the boards, moving with all the confidence of someone who's done this more than once. My hose slithering into her yard like a green snake. And then it clicks the pool. That monstrosity she put in last spring, so blue it glowed at night, trimmed in something she called Fomitarian tile, which I'm pretty sure means I paid way too much for this. Now, cities got drought restrictions. Nobody's supposed to be filling pools unless you want to mortgage your soul for the permits. But why pay when you can just siphon off the neighbor's water like a mosquito with a taste for Fiji? I didn't knock on her door. I went to my garage, grabbed my infrared trail camera, normally reserved for deer, but hey, desperate times. I tucked it behind the hydrangeas by the spigot and waited. 2 days later, bam. There she is, Karen's silk robe, sunglasses the size of salad plates, turning on my water at 6 in the morning, filling her pool with my hard-earned dollars. Now, I'm not a confrontational guy. I hate drama more than I hate taxes. So I went over nice as you please and asked if maybe there was a mix-up with the water line. She hit me with that patented HOA smile, tight-lipped. I'm only being polite because there are witnesses. She blames the landscapers, the neighbor's kid, even my own old pipes. When I mention the footage, I catch the tiniest flicker of panic, but she snaps right back, slick as oil. And that's when things turned ugly. 2 days later, there's a violation slip taped to my door, improper hose storage, $75 fine. For the same hose I'd had neatly coiled for 6 years. Next week, it's excessive water usage. The week after, a noise violation for my bamboo wind chime, a gift from my late mother, now apparently a menace to public peace. And then the drone. Every morning, just as I pour my coffee, I hear that electric whine, a little flying GoPro buzzing above my apple tree, watching my every move. She claims it's local kids. I've seen it land in her window box. So you tell me, was this woman just a thief or a full-blown tyrant? By now, my water bill's nearly $400. I stopped being the nice neighbor and became the obsessed with receipts neighbor. I spent a day at the county assessor's office, thank you vending machine coffee, digging through ancient records. That's when I found it. Lot 14B. My house was never annexed into Willow Bend Estates. The original owner, Ruth, had insisted on a grandfather clause, no HOA bylaws as long as the house stood. I was legally untouchable. All those fines, the barking complaint for my arthritic golden retriever, the negative energy compost ticket, they were void. But I kept quiet. I wanted her to get bolder higher on her own power trip. Because the higher you climb, the farther you fall. Now I had a plan. A plan involving plumbing a little legal judo and something I dubbed the revenge faucet. See, Karen wasn't just stealing water, she felt entitled to the whole neighborhood. And as I watched her pool guy Marco sneak my hose through a line of ceramic turtles, it hit me regular legal action was too kind. I called up my buddy Cal. He knows more about local plumbing than the city engineers. Standing in my yard, we hatched a plot. I'd reroute the external spigot Karen loved so much into my basement's gray water line, the runoff from my washing machine and dog baths. Not toxic, but let's just say you wouldn't want to drink it. Smells like a locker room towel that lost a fight with a gym bag. Next morning, I'm at City Hall applying for a permit to install a native plant demonstration zone with sustainable gray water irrigation. Clerk doesn't even look up stamp done. By Friday, the trap is set, dual valve fitting vacuum breaker potable water shut off. The hose is now fed by a reservoir that collects all my laundry and shower drainage. I even stick a tiny red sign on it, non-potable, do not drink, because safety first, right? I knew she wouldn't notice. 3 days go by. Nothing. Then comes the Willow Bend Poolside Social, hosted by HOA President Karen Mitchell. Swimsuits encouraged, mimosas provided. The ultimate victory lap. I mow my lawn with the serene focus of a monk, knowing the bait is set. Sunday, 2 p.m. Chatter and clinking glasses float over the fence. From my window, I see her landscaper now, with a Mitchell HOA visor, slink down the alley, grab my hose, and hook it to her pool filtration system. He cranks the valve and the gray water starts flowing. At first, it's just cloudy. Then the morning's laundry, muddy towels, dog blankets hits the line, turning everything a sickly beige. I walk outside, coffee in hand, just in time to see Karen floating in her pool, laughing with the other HOA wives. And then it hits them. Not the water, the smell. A breeze picks up the mist, wafts over the patio, and laughter dies on the spot. Karen's husband, Greg, sniffs the air like he's searching for a gas leak. A guest in a white sundress leans over and squawks like a startled bird. "Karen, what is that?" she squeals. The pump lets out a guttural groan, and the stench, fermented, soap-wet dog shower sludge rolls over them like a wave. Karen leaps off her floaty, grabs the hose, sniffs, and you can see the soul leave her body. She screams sewage so loud the dogs 3 houses down start barking. Greg slips on the patio, teens run gagging for the gate, and Karen, in a fit of pure panic, dives back into the pool, maybe to fix the filter, maybe to save her pride. Either way, she pops up shrieking that her hair feels dirty. 15 minutes later, the Hazmat team arrives. Someone called 911 about a biohazard spill. They seal off her yard, take samples, wrap Karen in a blanket like a burrito, and it's all over the neighborhood Facebook page before I can finish my coffee. But that's not the real win. The real show's just beginning. Because with everyone distracted by the yellow suits and the drama, I'm prepping for the emergency HOA meeting I know is coming. I show up with a crate of binders, USB sticks, and zoning documents. The rec center smells like anxiety and floor wax. Karen looks like she's aged a decade, clutching her designer water bottle like a talisman. The whole room, standing room only, has seen the viral video of her sewer pool. I just walk up, plug in my laptop, and start with Exhibit A, footage of Karen's landscaper sneaking into my yard. The bill hikes the city records, showing her pool as the lowest water usage in Willow Bend for 6 months straight. I don't lead with the stench, I lead with the theft. The room gasps. Then Exhibit B, my legal exemption, the permits, the clearly labeled non-potable line. If you trespass and drink from the mop bucket, you can't sue the owner for the taste, I say, locking eyes with Karen. And that's when Martha Jenkins, the board treasurer, silent for years, stands up and drops the hammer. If Karen was stealing water from him, where else is our HOA budget going? I flip to the final slides, tens of thousands quietly rerouted from general maintenance to landscape enhancement at Karen's address. The pool wasn't just filled with stolen water, it was paid for with stolen dues. The room erupts. Karen's presidency overthrown by shouting before the vice president can even finish his sentence. All funds tied to her property are frozen. The fire marshal steps in, her pool is condemned until she pays for a citywide flush. 3 days later, a hazmat crew starts a cleanup that'll cost more than my car. Within a week, a for sale sign appears in her yard, soon followed by a price-reduced sticker. I never see her leave, just hear the moving truck in the night. And now Willow Lane is quiet. The drone's gone. The fines on my record gone. In their place, I have a little fountain that bubbles peacefully while I sit with Peaches, my old dog, on the porch. Funny thing about water in the suburbs, it always finds its way home. What you steal from your neighbor has a way of flowing back to you one way or another. But let me ask you this. Was I wrong for letting her fill her pool with my gray water? Or did she have it coming for breaking every rule in the book? Have you ever tangled with a neighbor or an HOA president who thought they were above the law? Drop your wildest stories in the comments. Let's see whose Karen takes the crown.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.